Author says, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon him. Fasl, section. وَالَّذِي تَبْطُلُ بِهِ الصَّلَاةُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ شَيْئًا. That by which the prayer is invalidated is 11 things. Yani, 11 things invalidate the prayer. That's according to the count of the author, Imam Abu Shuja', rahimahullah. Al-kalamu al-amdu wal-amalu al-kathir. Intentional talking or deliberate talking and a lot of activity, yani activity that's foreign to the prayer. Physical activity that's foreign to the prayer. So that's just two right there. Ash-sharhu, the explanation. إذا تكلم المصلي عامدا بما يصلح لخطاب الآدميين بطلت صلاته. If the praying person intentionally speaks with what is suitable to address humans, then his prayer will be invalidated. I'm going to explain, inshallah ta'ala. It's going to come. If the praying person intentionally speaks what is suitable to address humans, then his prayer is invalidated. We're talking about speech that is foreign to the prayer. سواء كان يتعلق بمصلحة الصلاة أو غيرها. Whether his speech is for the welfare of the prayer or for some other reason, it's going to invalidate the prayer. How would it be for the welfare of the prayer? Like while he's praying, he says to someone, hey, hold on a second, I'll get back to you later because I'm praying. So that's going to invalidate his prayer. Walau kalima, even if it were a single word. Like he said while remembering that he's praying, wait, and knowing that that's haram. وَقَوْلُهُ عَمْدًا احْتَرَزَ بِهِ عَنِ النِّسْيَانِ. And to say that he spoke intentionally is to exclude the case of forgetfulness. Forgetfulness because a person might forget he's praying. How would he forget he's praying? It's possible. But forgetting that you're praying is not like forgetting that you're fasting. Because fasting doesn't have any special moves or any special words that would remind you that you're fasting. While prayer has special words and special moves that remind you that you're praying. وفي معنى الناس الجاهل بالتحريم. And similar to the forgetful person, meaning who's just like the forgetful person, who is as if he is a forgetful person, is the one who's ignorant that it's haram to speak in the prayer. بِقُرْبِ عَهْدِهِ بِالْإِسْلَامِ, because of being a new Muslim, because of being newly acquainted with Islam. وَأَمَّا الْعَمَلُ الْكَثِيرُ كَالْخُطُوَاتِ الثَّلَاثِ الْمُتَوَالِيَاتِ. And as for a lot of activity in the prayer, that's like 3 footsteps, consecutive footsteps. وَكَذَا الضَّرَبَاتِ. And likewise, to throw 3 blows, 3 hits, 3 punches, yani, for example. فَيُبْطِلُ الصَّلَاةِ. This will invalidate the prayer. So this is the famous saying in the Shafi'i school that 3 moves, consecutive, 3 moves that are foreign to the prayer, that's enough to invalidate the prayer if they are consecutive. وَالْأَصْلُ فِي ذَلِكَ الْإِجْمَاعِ. And the evidence for that is what? The consensus. MashaAllah. So that's benefit for me reviewing here. As if I never knew that. But now I know it again, alhamdulillah. The source for this invalidator, because everything needs evidence. What's the evidence that this will invalidate your prayer? وَالْأَصْلُ فِي ذَلِكَ الْإِجْمَاعِ. The source for this invalidator of many moves is the consensus. So that's to say, there's not an ayah or a hadith لأن العمل الكثير يغير نظمها, because a lot of activity corrupts the form of the prayer. A lot of activity will corrupt the form of the prayer, so it will invalidate the prayer. ويؤخذ من كلام الشيخ أن العمل القليل لا يبطل. And so it is taken from what the author said, that a little bit of movement will not invalidate the prayer, like 1 or 2 footsteps. Now, there's other sayings about this case of moving, but I want to just stick to the text. قال المصنف رحمه الله والحدث. The author said, and religious impurity, that means big or small. Yani, in the middle of your prayer, you became needing to make wudu, or you became needing to perform a ghusl, then that invalidates your prayer. الشرح الحدث في الصلاة يبطلها. The explanation is that religious impurity in the prayer invalidates the prayer. عمدا كان أو سهوا, whether that were done intentionally or absent-mindedly. Like, how would it be done intentionally? Like a person while praying passed gas, or while praying touched the private part with the inner part of the bare hand. وَسَوَاءٌ سَبَقَهُ أَمْ لَا. And even if it happened without the person's control, even if that occurrence of religious impurity were something out of the person's control, like he passed gas, he couldn't help himself, he couldn't stop himself, it's still going to invalidate the prayer. Well, I'm not talking about incontinence. بِقَوْلِهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, because of what the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, إِذَا فَسَى أَحَدُكُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِ فَلْيَنْصَرِفْ فَلْيَتَوَضَّأْ وَلْيُعِدِ الصَّلَاةَ. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, إِذَا فَسَى, فَسَى, فَسْوًا, وهو ريح يخرج بغير صوت, وهو ريح يخرج بغير صوت يسمع. According to Al-Misbah al-Munir, Fasa means to pass gas without sound. Subhanallah. So, because of this hadith, إِذَا فَسَى أَحَدُكُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِ, if one of you passed gas without making a sound in his prayer, فَلْيَنْصَرِفْ, then let him stop and go. فَلْيَتَوَضَّأ, and make wudu. وَلْيُعِيدْ صَلَاتَهِ, and then let him repeat his prayer. He has to start over from the beginning. Rawahu Abu Dawood. Abu Dawood reported that hadith. وَقَالَ التِّرْمِذِي إِنَّهُ حَسَنٌ. And at-Tirmidhi said, indeed, this hadith is fair. قال المصنف رحمه الله, said the author, may Allah have mercy on him. وَالْحُدُوثُ وَحُدُوثُ النَّجَاسَةِ وَانْكِشَافُ الْعَوْرَةِ. The fourth one is the occurrence of physical filth. And the fifth is exposure of the nudity. الشرح, the explanation. إذا تعمد إصابة النجاسة غير المعفو عنها, if a person intentionally contacted physical filth that's not excused, and that means whether by his body or his clothing. When we say the clothing, we mean whatever clothing moves with your body. Anything that moves with your body while you pray, then it's like that's your body itself. So what if you had a tie on while you pray? So the tie can hang, so still it moves with your body. Or you had long cuffs that moves with your body, then this will invalidate the prayer. كما لو تعمد الحدث, just like if the person intentionally committed a religious impurity. And an important case is that what's included here is the najasa appearing in your mouth. If the najasa appears in your mouth, like you got blood in your mouth while you're praying, or like you burped up some bile or the like while praying, then the occurrence of that najasa in your mouth, that invalidates your prayer. You need to stop. Go rinse your mouth and start over again. Your gums bled in your prayer, then that's it. Your prayer is invalidated. وَأَمَّا الْمَعَفُوُّ عَنْهَا, yeah, even if a person didn't swallow it. Just because we're not talking about, that's going to be a case of eating. So we're not talking about eating in the prayer. We're talking about just the occurrence of physical filth. Question, isn't a person's own blood excused? Not in his mouth, no. And then that's not absolute also. The blood of your wound is excused. If the blood comes out of your gums, that's not a wound, though. And if you burp up some bile and it comes into your mouth from your belly, that's not a wound and might not be blood. It's basically vomit. That's najasa. That's going to invalidate your prayer. وأما المعفو عنها مثل أن قتل قملة ونحوها. But if it were an excused filth while praying, like killing a lice or the likes, a lice or something like that, this will not invalidate your prayer. لأن دمها معفو عنه, because the blood of that creature is excused. كذا قاله البندنيجي. That's what Al-Bandaniji said. وَإِن وَقَعَتْ عَلَيْهِ نَجَاسَةٌ. Now, if while praying the filth falls upon you, نُظِر, the case has to be investigated. إن نحاها في الحال بغير نحو حمل بأن فضها لم تبطل لتعذر الاحتراز عن ذلك مع أنه لا تقصير منه. If the najasa falls upon you while praying, then the case is investigated. If at this case you toss that filth from yourself immediately, without carrying the filth, without lifting it, you toss that filth from yourself without picking it up, that means you're lifting it. You can't do that. If you lift the najasa off of yourself, you will invalidate your prayer. Or if you do what's like lifting it, like if you took a stick and then with the stick you pushed it off yourself with the stick, that's just like lifting it. Then what would you do? You'd flick it from yourself. You'd fling it from yourself. Don't pick it up. Or if you're able to, you can pluck it off of your clothing without contacting it directly. Like you pluck your clothing in a way that the najasa that's on your clothing flies off of you. Then your prayer will not be invalidated, because it is difficult to avoid a najasa falling on you while you pray, because you didn't know it's going to fall on you. So how are you going to avoid that? It's difficult to avoid a najasa that falls on you while you pray. And then when you immediately flung it from yourself, you were not negligent, so your prayer remains valid. وَإِلَّا بَطَلَتْ, or else your prayer will be invalidated. And what I'm saying to you now is, in case the najasa is dry, yeah, a lice or the like. I said a lice or the like. So like a gnat, like a mosquito. وَأَمَّا انْكِشَافُ الْعَوْرَةِ, and concerning exposure of the nudity while praying. فَإِنْ كَشَفَهَا عَمْدًا بَطَلَتْ صَلَاتُهُ. If the person exposed it intentionally while praying, then the prayer is invalidated. وَإِنْ أَعَادَهَا فِي الْحَالِ, even if he right away recovered it, it's still going to invalidate your prayer. لِأَنَّ السَّتْرَ شَرْطٌ, because concealing the nudity in the prayer is a condition. وَقَدْ أَزَالَهُ بِفِعْلِهِ, and in this case, the person deliberately, by his own action, removed that condition by exposing his nudity. فَأَشْبَهَ لَوْ أَحْدَث, so then it would be just like if he passed gas. He just removed the condition of his prayer, which is the purity. وَإِنْ كَشَفَهَا الرِّيحُ, but if the wind made the nudity, yani if the wind exposed the nudity while praying, فَاسْتَتَرَ فِي الْحَالِ, and then the person recovered his self immediately, فَلَا تَبْطُلْ, then the prayer will not be invalidated. So when we say he recovers it immediately, then if he just left it like that for a moment, meaning a moment in which he could have recovered his self or herself, but without, yani, instead of recovering oneself, we're saying, even if it was the wind came and blew your izar up or blew your abaya up while you were praying, and some of your nudity became exposed while you were praying. So that's completely out of your power. In this case, if you recover your awra immediately, your prayer remains valid. But if you left it uncovered, even just a little bit, then your prayer will be invalidated. Even if you recover it after that moment that you neglected. No, I'm talking about the wind. I'm not talking about passing gas from your backside. I'm talking about the wind. Don't think if a person passed gas is going to blow his clothes up. That's crazy. Talking about the wind. You're praying, and then the wind comes and blows your clothing up. So then, yeah. So here, that was out of your control. So in order to keep your prayer valid, you have to recover the awrah immediately. وَكَذَا لَوْ انْحَلَّ الْإِزَارِ, and likewise, had his izar became loose. The praying person has izar, praying with izar, and then it unraveled. فَأَعَادَهُ عَنْ قُرْبٍ, and then he fixed it immediately. فَلَا تَبْطُلْ, then this will not invalidate the prayer. So that's like what you're asking. As long as, though, what we're saying here is you didn't enter into the prayer unable to do the moves of the prayer. When you say he bent over and then, let's say, his shirt came out, his shirt became untucked. As long as he's able from the beginning to do the moves of his prayer, then he just has to recover it. And he wasn't negligent. Then he just has to recover it. Important part here is that it's out of his power. Not due to negligence. كما ذكرنا في النجاسة. So it's like what we talked about concerning filth. Wallahu alam, and Allah knows best.
My question I wanted to ask, I understood what we just covered. My question is, what does that have to do with anything that moves with your body while you pray? Is that has
That's for
to do,
najasa. When we're talking about what moves with your body, that's the case for najasa.
such as shake?
Such as, for example, a tie. I gave you an example. So a man's wearing a tie while he prays. So the tie moves with his body. So if the najasa falls on his tie, meaning I'm choosing the tie, why? Because it's loose. We can choose something else. Like what if a person had long cuffs, very long cuffs? So the najasa got on his cuffs, but his cuffs are long. It's not even touching his hand. Still, that moves with his body. So that's what we're saying. For example, a person is wearing a shirt that has a Muslim shirt, a long Muslim shirt that has tail. Now the Muslim shirt, sometimes it's split in the middle, so it has like a tail in the front and a tail in the back.
Yes.
So this moves with your body. So what if the najasa got on that tail, either one of those?
May I ask, please, what does movement have to do with anything and najasa? I just can't picture those two matters together.
A Shafi'i is saying that whatever moves with your body, it's like your body. It's going to be like it's on your body. So you wouldn't be able to say, oh, it's only on my cuff, so I'm going to keep praying. It's not on my skin.
I understand now.
So
But
as opposed to what, for example,
yes.
an example of what doesn't move with your body is like your prayer carpet.
Yes.
So what if you had najasa on the edge of your prayer carpet? Your prayer is still valid as long as you don't contact that najasa.
Understood. Barakallahu bikum.
I mean, what bikum.